Hello viewers and welcome back to another video on Video Geeks. So in last videos we have seen the basic introduction of the artillery and the plugin stuff and the how to define the load phases of the artillery test, right? So now I think it's best time to learn about the GitHub CI/CD actions that we can set up with our artillery test, so that whenever we make a new changes to our application and we push our changes, GitHub will, the push that we do on the GitHub, it will automatically trigger the workflow. That workflow will do the job and job will automatically test the artillery test that we have written, right? So that we want to set up. Also we will learn in this video that how to stream the test. So as you can see, this test that you are seeing, that is linked to this GitHub actions. So this GitHub actions has been triggered by the push that we did on this particular lesson 3-pro branch. So how to set up all these things, that we'll see in today's video. So without wasting much time, let's get started. We are on our Visual Studio, the usual platform or the IDE that we use. Now under the docs folder, I have added the file called lesson3.md file, and this will contain all the information that you need to learn the stuff that we are reaching in today's video. Now I will also provide the link of this repository in the GitHub, or not the GitHub, in the video description, so you can go and check out my repository if you want to take the learning snapshots. Now starting from the lesson3.md file, it has all the information that you need for today's lesson. So while we describe the artillery GitHub actions, we are using this official action CLIs, that is official GitHub actions that is defined over here, and we can change this particular version 1. Right now it's action CLI is at version 1, but it can be changed. So right now when I'm making this video, it's already version 1, but please check the latest version as per the availability, as I have mentioned the note over here. Now this is taken from official GitHub actions mentioned over here. You can go to this link and check out what is the mention over here. Now the summary is already written over here. So when we describe the our file, workflow file, so as you might be already aware about the GitHub, so if you want to trigger a GitHub actions workflow, we need to make a folder called .github. Inside that we need to have a folder called workflows, and this will store a YAML file. So this is the YAML file, and this will have the information on how to trigger the test and when to trigger the test, right? So this YAML file will have the information on that purpose. Now if we want to trigger the artillery stuff, so if we want to trigger the artillery test, so we have certain inputs. So we have two inputs called command and working directory as of now in the version 1 of this artillery action CLI. So the first input is command, which is nothing but the command that we want to run on our CI runner. So let's say this is the command called run and the file name. So all the commands that we can run are linked over here. You can just check out this link, or I can just show you also. So under this references and CLI, you can see this run lambda and run fargate, and all these three commands of run you can easily use over here in the command itself, and which will trigger run on particular local machine or AWS Lambda or any other platforms. Now with that you will also have an optional input, which is called working directory. So this is nothing but the optional parameter, which is the path where or the directory which we want to use as the current working directory when running the artillery command. So for both of these inputs you can see the example on how to use those commands, right? And with these two inputs, command and working directory, we also have something called outputs. So this is nothing major, but you can generate and access the test report using the CLI directly. So if you remember, we were using -- output to store the JSON to store the test output in the form of some JSON files, so that we can still do on the CRNR itself, and we can at last configure this upload artifact to upload the artifact which is generated from the test in form of JSON file. So this JSON file will be generated from the test, and it will always upload the artifact on the GitHub Actions itself. So these are two inputs and outputs for the for setting up our artillery GitHub Actions. So now you are aware about how and what are the concepts to use, or what are the inputs and outputs to use the artillery GitHub Actions. So we can get started with the steps to set up the GitHub Actions for the artillery tests. Now to set up this thing, you need to make sure to checklist these two steps. So the first step is to write and set up the YAML file which you want to run on the CRNR. So YAML file, what I mean by that is, so the file that you want to artillery test that you want to run. So for that we were creating the YAML file in the previous videos. So we will create the YAML file for so that we want to run on the CRNR. So I have created this sample test to run on ci.yaml file inside the test folder itself, and it is just the basic file and basic test which will create 50 virtual users per second for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Now the phase name is constant arrival. We will use the ensure plugin to check that aggregate max latency is under 1 second, and the scenario is very basic. We'll make a GET request on the URL that is mentioned over here as in target, and we will expect the status code to be 200. So these are the basic validations and stuff, and this is very basic test. You can set up your own test in this file or any other file and have the test that you want to perform on the CRNR itself. Now we will use this file for the example purpose, and that is the step 1 that you want to run, that you want to make sure that you want to checklist. Now for the step 2, we will create the workflow file, and workflow file will be created under the github.github/workflows folder, and this file will trigger the workflow based on the conditions. So GitHub will look into the configuration file placed inside this folder, and that's where we have load test.yaml file. So we can set a trigger also. So the configuration file, first of all, there is a YAML file that is mentioned over here, and the syntax will trigger your workflow. We can set the trigger as we desire. So as of now you can see the name is artillery socket load test. We will rename this. So this was the basic template name that we took from the examples test. So artillery load test, TRIGGER, right? And as you can see, the trigger is on the push of the branch either main or lesson 3, right? Now so this means whenever we will have a push request or the commit on the main or lesson 3 branch, we'll run this job. Now the job is artillery, so job is defined as artillery and will runs on the Ubuntu latest virtual machine. And the steps to run the job is these 3 steps. So the first step is to check out the repository, and we are using the GitHub's official sections/checkout version 2. Then it will execute the load test. So we are using the artillery's official's action CLI version 1, where we have the command called run test. So this is the file that we want to run, and then we are storing the output in form of JSON. After that, we'll upload the artifact. So where this file that is generated over here, this will be uploaded as an artifact, right? So this is the interpretation of this file, and now we can give, so we'll remove this lesson 3 because now we will merge the lesson. So this is lesson 3 branch, as you can see, and we will merge this branch to the main. So whenever I give you the code, or whenever you go to the GitHub repository, you just check out the main branch. You don't need to check out any other sub branch. Now I'll commit this. So git status git add dot git commit, added modifications in workflow file. Now git status, git will push this file to the GitHub, and now we'll merge the lesson 3 file with the main lesson 3 branch with the main branch on the GitHub, and let's see how the workflow is triggered. So as you can see, it says lesson 3 has pushes 22 seconds ago and there are no workflow triggered. Now what we'll do is we'll compare and pull, and we'll merge this lesson 3 with the main. Now we'll create a pull request, and yep, just a second, it will check the mergeability, ability to merge the main branch with the lesson 3. Okay, so it says no conflicts with the base branch, and we can merge, confirm merge. Now yep, we can see delete the branch, so we'll delete the lesson 3 branch, we don't need it. Okay, now we can go to the pull request. All the pull requests are closed, and as you can see, the workflow has been started. Now we can observe this workflow. So we set the triggered, and it is started. As you can see, the first step, setup job, build the artillery IO action CLI, so that is started. So we will start the test. We'll wait till the test is started, and after that we'll see you how the workflow is looking. So let the workflow run, and we'll see you after that. So as you can see, the test is started. As you can see, we are on the execute load test phase. So the step, we checked out the repository, and now the test is started. Artillery test is started, and you can observe the logs continuously popping up over here, and you can see the metric that is mentioned over here. So as you can see, the new output has been generated. We'll let this test complete, and at last we'll see that we have the artifacts over here or not. So we'll see you after the test is completed. So as you can see, the workflow has been completed, and it passed all the tests. And as you can see, we had uploaded we can see the uploaded artifact over here. Now we can go to the summary, and as you can see, the artillery report has been shown over here. You can download the artifact report JSON file, and you can observe the changes. You can see the information about the workflow that we just ran. You can see the status is success, and the total duration was 3 minutes and 23 seconds, and we have one artifact. And this was the only phase that triggered on the push of the main branch. So that's how you can set up the GitHub actions for your load test. Now we did not see that how to set up and stream the live test on the dashboard itself. So as you can see, we have the test from GitHub actions over here. So let's see how to stream our test onto the GitHub application or the artillery application itself, and we can see the live changes over here. So how to do that? Let's see that. So now, as you can see on the Visual Studio Code, we are on the lesson 3-pro branch, but soon we will merge this branch with the main, so you will not find the lesson 3 pro branch when you will in future check out the main branch on the GitHub repository itself. So as you can see, we have this file, and this has the trigger on lesson 3 pro branch and the main branch. We'll remove this also because we will merge this with the main branch, so the workflow will trigger only on the main branch push. Now you can see the workflow, the steps that we have in the YAML file, on the workflow YAML file, it's the same. We will run this file only, we'll trigger this artillery test only, but the difference is in the command you can see we are running the test, we are generating the output, we have the name of the test. So let's change this. So you can see over here the name was test from GitHub actions. Now let's see test from YouTube. Let's say test from YouTube. We will change this name, and now as you can see we have this flag called record and with the key, and the key value is this secret.api key artillery. Now if you want to stream the test, the load test that is triggered, the artillery test that will be triggered on the GitHub actions, so we need the API key from the artillery dashboard or the application artillery application. So basically we can go to the settings, from the API key, you have the API keys over here, right? So you can create a new API key or you can use the existing one. You can click on the copy button over here, and that key you need to paste it over here. But it's not good to directly paste the API key into the file itself, because everybody from the you can say if your repository is open source, everybody can see this file, the workflow YAML file, and they can directly see your API keys. But if we want to simulate the test, we need to have this API key over here. So the solution is to set up the you can say secrets on your repository itself. So I have this repository artillery YouTube learning, and over here if I go to the settings of this repository, I have this option called secrets and variable. So you can see we can have the secrets and variable in the actions, code space, and the depend about. So let's set up the actions secrets, and you can see you have the secrets and variable both of the options available. So the variables are the something for which you can store the value, you can edit those values, and you can see those values in the GitHub actions. But secrets are little more private. So even if the secrets are declared or printed on the console of the GitHub actions, they will not be visible to the other users or to you itself. So some secret information like passwords or the API keys, you can store it over here. Now, as you can see, I have repository secrets and the environment secrets. So environment secrets are, so if you have certain different environments like prod, development, and some other environment, so you can set up keys, secret keys for each individual environment from over here. Now, we don't have such environments, but we have the repository secrets. So in the repository secrets, you can create a new repository secret and you can name it. So I'll just show you. So over here you can name it anything you like, and the API key that you can copy from over here and you can paste it over here, and you can click on the add secret. Now you can also edit this key, but remember you will not see the key itself. When you edit, you can override, but you cannot see the existing value. So that's how it works, because that's the purpose of having secret. You can delete this and you can create a new one. So make sure to copy the API key from over here to over here in the repository secrets under the secrets and variable, and remember this name. Now this name you can copy and paste it over here in the workflow file like this. So dollar and the double braces and the closing double braces, and the inside those brackets you can mention secrets and the name of your variable that you have over here, right? So that's how you make sure that API key is mentioned over here. Now whenever you run your test, it will be directly streamed with the help of this API key onto the dashboard itself. So let's see how it works. So for that, what we will do is, so we did the changes, we changed the file. Now we'll commit the changes to the GitHub repository itself. So as you can see, it says lesson 3 has some recent push, but the workflow is not triggered. As you can see, there is no dot or the green dot over here. We'll compare and pull the request. Now we'll create, okay. So as you can see, when we are merging the repository, it says there are few conflicts. So that is because we previously merged the lesson 3 file, and it has the name called artillery load test trigger. So we can, it doesn't matter what name we choose. So we can accept the incoming changes, mark as resolved, commit merge. Now we can easily merge this both of the branches called lesson 3 pro and the main branch. So let's merge this file, or not the file, branches. We'll delete the lesson 3.pro branch because we don't need it. Now we can go to the code, and now you can see the workflow is triggered. We can go to the details part, and as you can see, the job is being set up. Now we'll wait once the test before the test is started, and then we'll go to the dashboard. So let's wait for the test to start over here from this execute load test, and then we'll verify whether the live streaming is happening onto the dashboard or not. So we'll see you after the test is started. As you can see, the test is started, and it says first phase has been started. So now let's go to the dashboard, let's go to the home page, and as you can see, test from YouTube has been started, and you can easily observe all the data that we get from the test. So the test that is being performed from this GitHub Actions or the CI runner, that you can easily see, observe the live streaming of those tests, of that test over here. You can see the logs, sorry, not yeah, you can see the log, text log, and you can see the graphs. You can also see the metrics, and if there are failures, you will also will be able to observe the traces, metrics, overview. And in the overview, you will also have the link to the GitHub Actions itself, so you can view that, and it will have a link of the GitHub trigger or the GitHub Actions. So yeah, I think that's it. So we'll wait for the test to end, and let's see how the final results are looking. So as you can see, the test has been completed, and you can see the streaming is also stopped. GitHub Actions are also passed. You can also see the artifacts from the summary. Yeah, you can see the artifact is over here, and in the test you can observe these many virtual users are created, no one failed, both of the checks that we did were passed. So yeah, that's it, I guess. I hope you have got the idea about how to set up your GitHub Actions with the artillery test, and how to set up how to stream your data live to the artillery dashboard. And yeah, I guess that's it for today's video, and we'll meet in the next one, and we have a lot of things to explore. Till then, keep learning and keep exploring.